I want your calls on this, whether the government's one-in, one-out deal to remove illegal migrants and send them to France will work to stop the small boat crossings. Get your calls in now, 0207 862 2222. Now, a second man has been deported to France this morning under this one-in, one-out deal. The deal proposes that the UK can return migrants to France, people who've come here on boats, if they arrived illegally, and of course they would have done if they're on a boat, but in a return, France is going to send across a migrant who has a strong case for asylum here in the UK, someone that the authorities are dealing with in France, but who wants to come to the UK because they have strong ties with this country, possibly a family member, something along those lines. Now, it is hoped that this will deter people from attempting to cross the Channel and enter the UK illegally. But even as a deportation flight took off this morning, well, hundreds of people are still attempted to leave France on inflatable dinghies coming the other way. Lizzie, do you think that this one-in, one-out deal has scope for being a good enough deterrent? The government have said it needs to be scaled up. We heard that in the press conference by Keir Starmer yesterday. It's not going to be one person a day being returned, so it's going to be scaled up. And they've also said this isn't going to be the only piece of legislation or weapon, if you like, to stop the small boats. There are going to be others as well. Do you think it's going to work?
No.
Why
I
not?
don't. It's inept, it's shambolic, and it's no deterrent. Right. It really isn't. This is, I mean, whoever thought of it? It's like the magic roundabout, one going in, one going out, arranged by Zebedee. It's not going to work. Look, we've seen already today there are boats coming over. Goodness knows how many, I think over 500 people. Well,
we don't know. There's a few boats that left France this morning.
There are a few boats coming over. Yeah. Since this deal was actually set, there was 9,900 have already come over. Keir Starmer, this is the worst deal for this country. I mean, how does it actually, who's done the maths with this? Rachel from accounts, one in, one out. And for him to boast that we've actually, with 4 failed attempts, have got 2 on the actual plane and flown over is a disgrace. Okay. And it isn't a deterrent. Obviously it isn't, because more are coming over today.
Bobby?
Yeah, so I think most British people will agree that we need to manage our borders, be controlled. But I also think British people have compassion too. And I think what this policy is a genuine attempt to restore order. Because we've seen historically over the last 10, 15 years, again, majority was down to the previous Conservative government, our immigration system, whether legal or illegal, wasn't working. The numbers were too high. But I think this government said, we take it seriously, we understand the public's concerns, and we're going to take steps to address this. And again, by working with France, this can't be done in isolation. We can't suddenly say, we stop all our borders, put a big picket fence around. It doesn't work like that. If you think about countries like Greece and Italy, they all have people trying to attempt to enter their country through small boats. And I think what they're trying to do is they're starting the process, not just clearly not the end, starting the process, trying to tackle the smuggling gangs, trying to put disincentives. So I think this is the start of a move towards turning the tide.
But important to say that since this government has been in charge, we've had record numbers.
Yes.
Lizzie, it was 5,500 that have come in since the deal was signed. However, between the deal being signed and the deal actually put into place, there's been quite a few, quite some time. So the flights have only started this week. The idea, I suppose, is the deterrent. If you know you're getting on a boat, that you're not going to be able to claim asylum in the UK, you're just going to be returned to France, and someone else who hasn't got on the boat is going to get the opportunity to come to the UK. Do you still think that's not going to make a difference?
Well, it's not even going to touch the sides. This is going to.
Well, what do you mean it's not going to touch? Because it's meant to be a deterrent. Are you talking about numbers?
Well, I'm talking about numbers and a deterrent, because it's obviously not a deterrent because they're already coming over.
Well, they're
already coming over today,
well,
and since.
But it's only began. It's only started this week.
They will be laughing. I think we're a global laughing stock with this. And let me tell you that this is the taxpayers are paying for this merry-go-round back and forwards. It's us. And for those that land in France, we're paying for them when they get to France as well.
All right, we'll go through some of the numbers in just a moment. Don't go anywhere, because after the break, we're going to be hearing your calls. Do you think that this one-in, one-out deal is going to be able to stop people trying to cross the Channel in small boats? Don't forget, later, We're also going to be talking about... I'm just going to show you this still. This is the government's numbers and how many people have crossed in the last week. And as you can see, it's zero. Zero boats, zero people. This is the last 7 days. Now, you could argue that perhaps those crossings are because people are worried about the one in, one out scheme. You could also argue that it's weather related. That's the problem we have with channel crossings. We don't know whether it's weather related. But in the last 7 days, zero boats, zero people have crossed. So the question is, will this one in, one out scheme actually deter people? Will it make people think twice before handing their money to what essentially is a criminal gang in order to come here and claim asylum? If they think that, hang on a minute, if I get there and they put me on a plane straight back to France, then I've wasted my money and put people's lives in danger. Let's find out what you're saying at home. Shelley is in Newcastle upon Tyne. Shelley, welcome to the show. Do you think that this scheme has got any chance of success?
Can I just say first, the reason they've not been over is because it's been awful weather at sea.
As I said, it could be weather related, it could be anything, but the last 7 days we've had nothing.
No, I don't think it's going to work. What I don't understand, the first man that went over was an Indian national. Now, surely we can send them back without having to send them to France. So I don't know what's going on there. The next thing, the government's keeping really quiet. They're not telling us how much it's going to cost. Because as I understand, when they're sent to France, they're going to get 2,800 to be sent back to their country. So we're getting one in, one out. So we're still getting the same amount of people no matter how it works. Yet France are getting rid of people. So they're the ones that's going to benefit. I don't know why we don't do a deal and say, right, France, it's going to be painful for 2 weeks. We're going to send every single person back so they know that they can't come here and they won't stay. And in the end, they won't go to France because they won't come here. They won't want to come here because they'll not be allowed to stay.
I think it would be tricky legally, Shelley. Like it or not, we are signatories to deals where we accept that people fleeing prosecution have the right to try and seek asylum in countries. I see your point.
In the middle of the water. If we do it in the water, when we pick them up, because we go and pick them up like a taxi, you take them straight back. So they don't actually land on our land. I mean, if they did that for a couple of weeks, I think it would stop.
Yeah,
if they said,
Shelley,
you're not coming.
Shelley, thank you for kicking us off. Let's speak to Paul, who's in East Yorkshire. Paul, do you think that it would work, this one in, one out scheme?
Morning all. No, I don't see how it can work, to be fair, because like I just said to your lady on the phone, you get a boat come over with say 50 people. Yeah. One of them is nominated to go back. What happens to the other 49? They disappear into the system.
Well, Paul, I mean, as we heard from the Prime Minister in the press conference yesterday, I don't think the plan is to return one person at a time. The plan will be to massively scale that up, so you're actually returning more and more people. I think also it's not really about numbers. Let's not forget Rwanda was never really about numbers because the maximum capacity at the time was 200. Now, we're getting a lot more than 200 people coming over on a day. I mean, the first day the new Home Secretary came into office, it was 1,000 people that arrived. So it's not really about the numbers. It's to try and make people think, if I stand a chance of just being returned, why take the risk and pay the money and take that journey in the first place? So do you think that in theory it's got a chance of working?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, they get over here into this country, right? You can't go to France without a passport. You can't go to America without a passport. They come in here on boats, paying whoever they're paying. They all have the same nice matching life vests, so they're getting them from somewhere. The boats are all the same boats, so somebody's cashing in on that.
Yeah.
Plus the fact when they actually get here, and I was reading about this, even if they're a failed asylum seeker, there's still benefits that they can claim. Now, while this is happening, I know, and I have also read that they don't get quite as much as what people do think they get, but they do still get handouts and what have you. Okay. Now, you've got Joe Bloggs working his socks off, can't make ends meet, These
Okay,
people
Paul,
come in.
Paul, I take all your points, and you're taking us into another discussion about what happens to the people that get here, and I appreciate that. I just want to focus on whether this one in, one out deal is going to be a success. But Paul, thank you for your call. Mike's in Portsmouth. Mike, do you think it'll work?
No, definitely not.
Why not?
I think the amount of people that have come in here in the last couple of years, I don't think Starmer is strong enough. I think we need somebody stronger, and I think the best thing to do to stop this is to have the services brought in. The RAF, the Navy and the Army.
Right.
I think that would be a great big help. And obviously, we've had enough come in the last couple of years to
all right,
Wembley
Mike,
Stadium.
let me pause you there. Mike mentions what we heard from Trump yesterday, Bobby, in that press conference. He said, I'd get the military involved. Now, of course, Trump can do what he likes in the US, but is that something that we want to see here? What Mike was saying, get the Navy involved, the Air Force, the military. Does Starmer need to be even harder?
Again, I think with this issue, we've got to cooperate with our European partners. We can't just suddenly put up a fence and say no one's coming in, because then France wouldn't cooperate with us other things. So I think the issue here is it's like policy versus politics. Because I think the policy-wise, Starmer's on the way. Again, this is not the final measure. This is a stepping stone towards managing our migration routes. The issue is here is the politics. And I think it's where Starmer needs to work. Again, international diplomacy with Starmer, and Trump yesterday pulled a blinder. But I think domestically, he needs to work on his messaging. His Labour team, whoever they are, they're not getting the messaging. Because clearly we're getting callers every time I'm here. Even though Starmer's doing things, trying to turn the boat around, metaphorically and literally, the public are not buying on it. So I think that we need to work, the Labour government have to work in a way of getting the public on board.
All right, Mike, thank you. Jackson, Winchester. Jack, welcome to the show. What are your thoughts? Do you think it's got chance of success?
Hello. Listen, I'm not overly clever. I'm not an analyst.
Right.
But I'm looking at what's happening. So as we speak, 2 people have been returned to France.
Yeah.
And as I understand it, 10 people are coming over today on a flight into the country.
I'm not quite sure we've got confirmation of that, Jack. The policy was one in, one out.
Yes, but I mean, the information I have is that 10 people are coming in today.
It hasn't been confirmed, but I see your point. A lot more people will have meant to have gone to France. But go on, make your point, Jack.
Okay. This is slightly deviating, but quite important, I think.
Okay.
I believe the way to deal with the migrant boat situation is to actually have an institution, a building in France run by British diplomats, British civil servants, British people who can grant asylum. Then people apply for asylum to Britain in France.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't get your certification and you come over still to Britain, if you can't produce the certification that said you'd been through that process, you are immediately returned.
Okay.
There is no appeal situation.
Okay, Jack, thank you. And Jack, I think a lot of people have put that forward, that suggestion. So it was a very clever suggestion. So don't do yourself down. Just briefly, your thoughts on that. I mean, it has been a suggestion of having some sort of hub. Of course, now you're talking about getting sovereign soil from France and saying, can we have this bit so that lots of people now cross your country to get to this bit? But let's put all that aside. Is Jack making a point that if you open another means of applying for asylum before you even set foot in this country, would that be a solution, Lizzie?
I think Jack, for Prime Minister, I think he's got a
I
really
see,
good
okay,
idea
fine.
there. Honestly, I really do.
Deputy PM's up for grabs.
I think we've got to remember what the amount of money we've given France, 800 million, so far. We're paying for this backwards and forwards.
OK.
And for me, it's a gimmick.
All right, Bobby?
I think ultimately, the more we have safe legal routes for people to apply through, the less likely they are to turn to these gangs that send people horrendously across the channel.
All right, well, look, thank you for your calls on this.